Yes, guys, welcome back to the Glory Glory podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Quinn, and we've got two guests on the show today. Brush, who's a regular on the show, and HR is back on the show after 6 months out. How's it going, guys?
Very well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's
Um,
good to be here, Carl.
yeah, it certainly is good to be here. It's things are looking a lot rosier than they were 2 weeks ago for Manchester United fans. After
hmm
that abysmal start of the season, we've now won back-to-back games. We've won an away game after 7 straight defeats away from home. We kept a clean sheet away from home for the first time since December. So I'll come to you first then, Brush. What was your thoughts on the game?
What, the Liverpool one? Shall we start there?
No, the Southampton one.
Oh, but I so want to relive that Monday
We'll come
because
back to
we.
it later on. Don't worry.
Right. Overall, it was pretty underwhelming, but I mean, we got the 3 points on the board and we continue the momentum, and that was the main thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think the most pleasing aspect from a United point of view is the defense is looking very solid at the moment. Obviously, there's been a major surgery done to the defense by Eric Ten Hag, and Martinez, Malasaya, and Varane, and even Dallo. They've all been excellent, haven't they, so far?
Yeah, yeah. In the match against Southampton, I thought Malacia started a bit slow, but then he worked his way into the game. What a difference it makes at the back. Just having Martinez and Varane there, they complement each other well, and they're starting to build up a partnership. Dallo as well, I thought had a good game actually against Southampton.
Yeah, Varane is very much a Rio Ferdinand type player, whereas Martinez is like Vidic, isn't he? So they
Yeah, very much so, and I think that's what he's missed as well because when we've seen the best of him at Madrid when he's playing next to someone who's a lot more aggressive, and he had that in Sergio Ramos, and perhaps we're heading towards that now with Martinez.
Okay, Hanif, I'll come to you now. Have you been impressed with United in the last 2 weeks?
Listen, very much so. I think Eric Ten Hag deserves a lot of credit for his chopping and changing, this early on. I personally thought he would have taken 10 games to basically give everyone an opportunity. But you have to give the manager credit because he's making changes. He's actually giving the players an opportunity. And I'm basically telling them, look, if you are not showing me something and you can't be bothered and your performances are not that good, I'm dropping you. And you have to give the manager credit. Dropping Maguire last season was mission impossible. But you look at it now, and you look at Martinez, who I'm not gonna lie, I've only seen him this year. But one thing I like about him as a defender is that ruthlessness. He don't care. He's going for that ball. There was one tackle in the Southampton game where he won the ball, but he took the man, and I thought, you know what? That's my type of that's what you need in a defender. Leave a little on him, a bit like Japstam back in the day, but you can't play like that anymore. Um, I think I think it's about time you change your left back. I think Malacia. I think he's coming earlier than I thought he would. I thought he would have gone for more experience for the first few games, but I think Ten Hag just has seen enough and thought, you know what, you're gonna do it my way, and it's clicking a lot sooner than I thought it would. But I think he's imposing himself as much as he can, and the longer he stays at United, and if given the time, that is for me the most important thing with this manager. If given the time, because there are going to be downs as well as ups. I think you know what I think United have got a very good manager. Obviously there's a lot more trials and tribulations across the season, but I'm really impressed at the moment at how quickly some of these players have picked up, and I'm not gonna lie. I think Martinez is a good player, and so is Malacia. To be fair, I think he'll only get better.
Yeah, Martinez has been man of the match in the last two games now, and I would say closely followed by Malacia. They've been fantastic, and Varane as well, just kind of quietly going about his business, not being as he's not as visible as what Martinez has been. Getting stuck in all the time, but Varane just a very cool, calm, collected defender, and he's been magnificent himself. Um, Bruno Fernandes getting back on the score sheet. It feels like it's been a long time, hasn't it, Bruce, since Fernandes got a goal?
It feels like it's been a very long time. Yeah, his overall game, I don't think has changed that much, but obviously, it's different story altogether when the goals and assists dry up as well, because I feel like that used to masquerade some of his flaws. So it's good that he's getting some of that back at least. And if without him there, that could have very easily been a draw.
Yeah, it was a magnificent first time finish from Dallow's cross, and a nice piece of football in the build up to it as well. Can you believe that United didn't score from that kind of goal mouth scramble? I think Alanda had a
Yeah, the
chance,
Ericsson
Ericsson had a
one.
chance, Bruno had a
Yeah,
chance, and no one could put
yeah,
it in. It
yeah. It
was
was unfortunate. It was one of those days. It was looking like. I'm just like I say. I'm just glad we got it over the line. Up front, I am a bit worried, but I mean, we'll get onto that with the new signings and what can potentially happen in the next week.
Yeah, it was a bit of an ugly win. The Liverpool game was a fantastic performance, a well deserved win for United, but yesterday was like a very scrappy 50-50 game, and
Mm.
a moment of quality got United over the line. But it was all about getting the result, wasn't it, after the Liverpool win? Because the last thing we wanted after beating Liverpool was then to go and draw or lose at St Mary's. Uh,
Absolutely. It was all about momentum. It would have meant nothing. All the effort the boys put in on Monday night would have meant nothing if we didn't come away with 3 points at St Mary's. And Southampton are a very difficult team as well. It's one of those teams where every year I tip them to struggle and Hasenhüttl somehow pulls it out the hat. And they've got one or two tidy players there. Even this summer they went and picked up Aribo and he looks quite good. Salazu is a defender I like. So yeah, credit to the boys for getting it over the line.
yeah, I think Southampton are one of the youngest teams in the Premier League as well, aren't they, Hanif? If I'm not mistaken. They've a
Yeah,
fairly young.
I think they are. Yeah, they're up there. I think the top five in terms of age across their squad. Um, I'll pick up where Brush has left off. That Hassan will get the job done, and I think that comes down to his playing style, the way they play, and it's high energy, and you kind of know what to expect. That you know what, if you don't keep the ball well against this Southampton team at home, they can punish you. And I think United, were shown a bit of their quality with Shea Adams, um, but ultimately United got it over the line, and it reminded me of the United of old. Really, it's about results, and when you have these types of performances, last season United would have folded. We have to be honest about this because I just don't see where that fight would have come in. I think the game earlier this week basically pushed United, gave them the confidence and the momentum going into this game, thinking that we could make this back to back wins, and that would have given the whole team a big boost because there were two different games where Liverpool is more you'll get in behind. Whereas this game, he kind of went for more or less the same formation, probably apart from McTominay. And, United would have had probably a lot more of the ball and probably had to do more and try and break the lines. So as Brush said earlier, and yourself, that the attack it needs a bit of work.
We would definitely come on to that. Just one thing to pick up on: there was a lot of defensive substitutions made by Ten Hag to see out the game. During the Solskjaer era, whenever defensive subs were made to see out a win, it always ended up in an equaliser. I'm glad to see that we actually got it over the line yesterday. Casemiro coming on. Ronaldo came on and he went down injured a couple of times, and then Casemiro I think was going to come on in place of him, and but he was desperate to continue. There was a counterattack towards the end. I think Casemiro might have played Ronaldo in, and he was outpaced by the Southampton defender, and just in the old days, Ronaldo just would have Cruyff turned him and then slotted into the bottom corner of his left foot. But he looked well off the pace there. Ronaldo's he's starting to look 37, 38 now, isn't he? If he wants to leave, then just let him go, because there's no point in having him around. No point in having an unhappy player. And I just don't think that he's worth the hassle anymore. I mean, we won the Liverpool game without him, and we beat Southampton largely without him. So yeah, if he really wants to leave, I would just let him go. Would you agree with that then, Brush?
Absolutely. He's not the long-term solution. Either way he's going, we know it. Either next week or at the end of the season, he's definitely out the door. It's only a matter of time. It's unfortunate for us that the only other striker we have is so injury prone and he just can't catch a break. Because against Liverpool, he did come on, Anthony Martial, and had a good cameo. And we were thinking, all right, let's see what he can do against Southampton. And lo and behold, he's injured again before the game. So he just can't catch a break. We can't rely on him. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do in the next week in the market.
Yeah, we're still very short of a number 9 in that squad. I mean, going through the entire season, rotating Rashford and Martial up front does not fill me full of confidence, to be honest with you. We've just spent, it seems, €100 million on Antony. So I don't see where the budget's going to come from to sign a number 9. Anthony and Sancho on the wings looks really good, but Martial and Rashford up front that needs to be improved upon. I don't know who's going to get 20 goals for United this season. It might be okay if they were to share the goals around, but I don't see a player in that squad that's going to get 20 goals in the Premier League. Do you?
No, I don't either. I think that's exactly right. I think the goals are going to have to be spread out throughout the team. There's no one that stands out to me in this team that can put up big numbers. The one thing I will say about Ronaldo, though, obviously due to the wages he's on, it is very difficult to move him. And if he does find himself still here after the deadline has passed, I think he needs to buckle down and get to work. And I think he will be motivated, if nothing else, because of the World Cup. He'll want to be fit for that World Cup, and so he'll get his head down and get his act together, I think, if he ends up staying. So that's the one thing I'm looking at if he does stay.
I think he will knuckle down if he has to stay, but it's a big hit to his ego that he's going to be a substitute for a team in the Europa League. He wouldn't have been anticipating that a year ago.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, at the end of the day, he's 37 years old. He might look amazing and whatnot and have a six-pack and all the rest of it, but, you can't reverse the aging process, unfortunately. And no matter what condition you're in, you're not going to be the same player you were 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, the cameo we had yesterday just showed that he's deteriorating physically, unfortunately. But then that happens to everybody.
Yeah, and also you have to remember, you didn't have a preseason. There was all the circus stuff that went on. He's come back in and he's been a bit alienated. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. He's coming in from the cold.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't. He's a great player to have as an impact sub or someone to rotate, because he's still a fabulous player for his age. But we all know he will not be happy with that type of role. He wants to be the starting number 9 for whichever team he plays for, and he wants to play in the Champions League. But we've only got 4 days to find out what's going to happen. So Casemiro started the game on the bench and he came on. I thought he did really well in his cameo. I anticipate that Scott McTominay is going to drop out for Casemiro in the next game. What do you think, Haneef?
Yeah, I think, look, there are levels out there. There are levels. Listen, look, this is one of the best midfielders in the world, regardless of what people say, regardless of his, the age thing, especially when the player's in his 30, the guy's in his prime. He'll adjust. He just needs phasing in. So I think Ten Hag did the right thing instead of just sticking him in, giving Scott the opportunity. And Scott had a decent game. To be fair, you got to give Scott McTominay his credit. I thought he played well. I think that's his type of game. These lower end teams are the teams that Scott McTominay should be involved in. He should be in the squad for these types of teams. But then when you're playing Arsenal, I think you bring in the big man and he basically gives their midfield a masterclass, to be fair. So I think Casemiro is an absolutely fantastic signing, regardless of when he came in. It doesn't matter. This guy is world class. He just needs to prove it now at Old Trafford. He's got a good 4 years in him, in my opinion. And I think once he settles in that position, depending on who he's next to, whether it's Ericsson or somebody else, I think United have got an absolute worldie in midfield. They just got to hope he stays. He just gets his match fitness up for the Premier League, because it is a bit different compared to the Spanish league.
Yeah, it's a major upgrade on Fred and McTominay. He's got
Definitely.
he's got 5 European Cups. Varane has 4. I think Ronaldo has 5. So there's 14 European Cups in the spine of our team now. If Ronaldo starts, yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing Casemiro in that midfield. I would say he's potential captain material as well. I know he doesn't speak English at the moment, but in the future, I could see him being captain. You probably seen the other night before the Liverpool game, he came over to embrace Roy Keane. That was a nice moment, potentially a former Premier League winning captain at United and a future one meeting each other there. So, are you excited to have Casemiro in the midfield, Brush? Because I think initially, I don't think you were too pleased about this signing.
Well, no, do you know what it is? So it's one of those where our club have this innate ability to sign good players, but still find a way to piss me off due to the manner in which they go about the business. The week before we signed him, we were shopping with coupons for the likes of Rabiot and Arnautovic, and then a week later you give us Casemiro. What am I supposed to do with that? and also, all the Ten Hag philosophers spent all summer telling me how he doesn't like a proper DM, and this is why we're in for Frankie De Jong. And then what do? We go and sign probably one of the best specialist DMs in the world.
Yeah.
So it's all over. It's all over the place. Obviously, there were one or two things that concerned me. None of which were ability related. It was more so the costs involved, the wages. He's on 350 a week. It's big. Wrong side of 30. When you look at the deals for Varane and how that's transpired, what's transpired since, you think there are question marks there. He's going to have to show it on the field. People are going to ask questions. It is a big fee. It's not a long-term signing. It's a signing for the here and now. So we really need to kick on now. It's one of those as well. As a player, I really like him. He's one of the best DMs of the last decade. What I will say, he's a destroyer DM. We're at an age in the game now we're kind of moving away from that. So he's a bit of a throwback. The more modern DMs of now, there are more like Rodri's and the Fabinhos that offer a bit more on the ball than just break up play and stuff. But he is elite at what he does. So I'm very happy that he's here. It's a fantastic upgrade. But now I don't want us to rest on our laurels. Now, if anything, I want Frankie De Jong more than before. Now it makes sense to go get a ball progressor to stick next to Casemiro to really shore up that midfield.
Yeah, Casemiro is very much a Claude Makelele, if I can make a comparison, but he probably scores more goals. He does score a lot of headers from corners, Casemiro, and he scores long range goals with his right foot.
It's funny you say that, Carl, because for me, that's the best case scenario, is that he turns out to be our Makelele. But then you have to look back at that time when Makelele was the catalyst. They didn't stop there, though. They were building at the time, that Chelsea team, and they put pieces in and around him, which, elevated everyone. And that's what we have to do. We can't just stop here. We have to build around him.
Would you be satisfied? I don't think we're going to sign De Jong, if I'm honest. Would you be satisfied with Christian Eriksen playing alongside him in that kind of number 8 role?
For the time being, yes, but I don't think he's the long-term solution. For me, Eriksen is more of a rotational option, really, because of his technical ability and whatnot and his experience. Yeah, he's a shoo-in for the time being. But long term, we should be out there exploring the market, looking for someone. If not Frankie De Jong, then somebody else. I quite like Barella at Inter Milan. But again, we've left everything so late, and that's the kind of signing that you need to get done really early. All the top teams around Europe have already started their domestic seasons, and they won't want to lose players at this stage. So again, it comes down to poor planning. So yeah, it's something to look at going forward.
Yeah, I'll be in addition to Antony. I can only see us signing Martin Dubravka from Newcastle. I can't imagine we'll do any more business, but you never know. The deadline week tends to throw up a few surprises. So before we move on, just going to do a quick rundown of the player ratings from yesterday. So David De Gea, I would give him a 7. The Diogo Dalot 7. Varane and Martinez would both get 7s. Malacia 7. McTominay a 7. There's a lot of 7s here. Eriksen, I'll give him a 6. Sancho probably a 5. I don't think he was very good yesterday. Bruno definitely has to get an 8 for the goal. Elanga probably a 5 as well, and Rashford a 5. Do you know one thing I just wanted to mention? There was a clear drop off in work rate from the Liverpool game, which was extremely alarming to me. I wanted to see an United team go out there and match Southampton at the work rate, and what I saw was people not pressing, not tracking runs, and half-hearted attempts to block crosses, particularly from the likes of Sancho and Rashford. Did that concern you a bit that they weren't working as hard as they were in the Liverpool game, Brush?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the opposition. It's the fact that it was that Liverpool game. It was them. I think the players were, particularly hyped up because it was Liverpool, and especially on the back of the horrendous start that we made. Yeah, so that is somewhat concerning, but it's early days still. The main thing is the momentum and the 3 points on the board, and we just have to keep pushing on. But yeah, that is something that we need to address. Dallo and Martinez were the two that stood out to me yesterday, and like you, I was quite disappointed in Sancho. He needs to show me something different.
Yeah, Sancho was playing in second gear yesterday, and I wanted him to follow up his goal against Liverpool with another brilliant performance against Southampton, but he disappointed yesterday, and he was the first person substituted, if I remember right. But hopefully he can come back stronger against Leicester. So Antony's going to come into the mix. Probably means that Sancho's going to have to permanently switch to the left hand side, and I don't agree with that. I think Sancho excels better on the right, but Antony's more than likely going to play on the left. So with Antony coming into United for 100 million euros, it seems as if Ziyech is going to leave Chelsea to go to Ajax. That's where he came from. And see, the deal's going to be in and around maybe 45 million euros or something. That's a lot of money for Eredivisie side to pay for a player. But what's your thoughts then on Ziyech leaving Chelsea, then Haneef, and Antony coming to United?
Listen, look, I'm really disappointed with the way Chelsea have used our attacking talents. I think Chelsea have got a fantastic attack. It's just we don't have the style of play to match the attackers that we have. No one can explain to me that Chelsea have got bad attackers. It all comes down to the style of play and whether you've got a team that's good enough to get the best out of them. This guy is a fantastic footballer. How Thomas Tuchel is not playing him when Chelsea lack creativity is absolutely crazy. Obviously, I can't challenge the manager because he won yesterday. But ultimately, I think it's sad that Ziyech didn't get more of an opportunity than he did because he showed the shades of his quality. It's just he just needed more time, and I just don't think Chelsea's football suits Ziyech. I think he needs to be in like an Eric Ten Hag kind of a system, and that's Chelsea's fault for not having a structure in place, not having a director of football that actually knows what they're doing, compared to business people. But I think it's good business for AC Milan. I think AC Milan, they've got some very good players, and don't be surprised if they do come back in a number of years' time back into the Champions League and so forth. I'm not going to say they're going to win, but I'm going to say that CDI is looking serious at the moment, and there's a lot of good talent there. In terms of Antony, look, every manager has his. Has those players that he wants to be part of his team. He knows Antony better than anybody else, and why shouldn't he demand a player that he's had in his ranks prior to Manchester United, who he believes can be the next big thing? Because I think it's good for in terms of competition, especially when it's you've got players like Rashford, who's been there for a while now. He's going to have to look over his shoulder now because he might not be starting for Manchester United. He's got to increase his levels. I know the fee is going to be high, but ultimately you want guys fighting for the position, and I think that's what Antony brings. He's got skill and flair. I think he just needs to adjust to our league, which will probably take a bit of time. Obviously, a preseason would have been great, but look, that's who the manager wants, and as long as you get the manager the players he wants, then ultimately he's responsible for that team. But is he a good player? Yes. The price tag is mad. I'm not gonna lie. No wonder the Glazers didn't buy him earlier. They saw the price tag. They said, nah. But then I think Ten Hag's winning over the probably the senior figures and thinking, look, I've done this. Look, we beat Liverpool. We beat Southampton. Give me what I need, because there is a good chance. Let's be honest about it. That if Ten Hag keeps improving this team and he sticks to his philosophy, let's be honest, United could be in the race for top four. And I don't think many United fans would have said that at the start of the season. So yeah, just back him with whoever he wants. Obviously, I think he could have got somebody else. But look, Ten Hag wants Antony. You deliver him Antony, I guess.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, we would. I think it looked as if we are going to be fighting relegation, not for top four. But it's amazing what a couple of results can do. So Anthony was a very raw talent when he arrived from Sao Paulo to Amsterdam, but he's been nurtured by Ten Hag, and he's been the one responsible for developing him into the player that he is, and hopefully he can improve and get even better. Um, Brush, why do you think that Ten Hag decided to go for Anthony over Ziyech, for example? Because he's another player that he's worked with. Do you think it's just because he's 7 years younger?
Yeah, I think age plays a part, potential as well. So you're getting a lot more in return with Antony, whereas with Ziyech, it's very short term. So there's that. It's quite a rare breed as well, a flair player. We don't really see that much flair in the Premier League these days. So that's going to be interesting to see how he takes to it. Also, to have a right side player who's left footed as well is kind of unique. It's quite rare, so that's good. Yeah, I'm excited about the player. Very talented. We spoke about him at the start of the window as a player that we would like coming in. Obviously, the manner in which it's happened, it's a little bit of a cloud. But like Haneef said, I mean, if he puts in the performances, then people won't really be talking about the price tag. But the price tag is ridiculous. I mean, the guy is worth half what we're paying. But it is what it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think this late splurge in the transfer market and the cynic in me tells me that this is the Glazers trying to silence the protests and the clamour for Sir Jim Radcliffe to take over the club, because
Yeah,
they weren't.
listen, we've been here before, but then the message is clear now this time. Like, it doesn't matter who they bring in or what they try to distract us with. The message is clear. The Glazers out all day.
Yeah, absolutely. So if the window ends here and all we sign after this is a substitute goalkeeper, um, is the window consisting of Malacia, Ericsson, Martinez, Casemiro, and Anthony? Is that a good window? Let's forget about the circumstances that these players
Mm.
were signed and the fees that were paid. How would you rate that window out of 10?
I mean, how we've got here has been an absolute mess. But it's a decent window when you look at just the players coming in. It's not enough in terms of what we've needed, but we knew that. But when you look at the shambles of everything, how we operate, the incompetence from up above, it's a decent first window. I can't lie.
Yeah, we certainly would have taken that window in May if we were offered it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Obviously, it could have been done better had they, got all this done early and all the players had a pre-season. But it is what it is.
so we decided to sign two Brazilians, and I don't remember a single Brazilian signing working out at Old Trafford. They've all failed.
Flashbacks to Cleverson,
Yeah,
the De Silva brothers,
yeah. It's Anderson. There's been a
Rodrigo Pesibon. There's been a few.
yeah, yeah. None of them have really worked out. Hopefully that's going to change now. And surely in the case
Yes.
of Casemiro, it is going to change, because we know he's, like we said earlier, he's a world class DM, and be amazed if
Yeah.
he doesn't work out to be a
Yeah. I was a
fantastic
bit
signing.
gutted that Ahmad's got the number 16 shirt. I really wanted Casemiro to get that.
Yeah, yeah. He's got Bruno's old shirt, hasn't he? The 18.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Because for me, like, since Keane left, I've been waiting for someone for the right successor to the number 16.
oh, you trying to say Michael Carrick wasn't worthy of the shirt?
Not for me. Not for me.
So Davis says here he would go for Cody Gakpo as well as Anthony. What do you think, Haneef? Do you think that would be a good move as well to bring in Gakpo on top of Anthony?
Bloody hell, that might be another 100 million, you know. He's a good player. Listen, look, it just depends whether he fits the system or not. We all want these amazing players. You know, who doesn't want Haaland at 60 million? Who doesn't want Mbappe and all these players? But ultimately, when you look at some of the best managers in the world, you purchase players for the system. So, and Ten Hag likes Anthony. He believes he fits the system. I think it's, I think it's a fantastic signing. You know, I like what I see. You know, I like watching entertainment. I'm an old school football fan where I want to see something where you get off my seat and think, how the hell did you do that? That's why I watch like Saint Maximum and all these guys. Now I'm gonna get to watch, and I want more of these guys to come, and I want them to be given the opportunity to play this exciting style of attacking football. So I think Anthony's great in terms of Gakpo. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I don't personally, you're going to have to big money, and I think United have sealed the deal with Anthony unless something else happens. In terms of your window, listen, I'll be honest, it's like if you had a preseason, it's probably at 8.5, but at the moment, but because you haven't, it's probably about 7.5. And you can't complain. I think United have had a fantastic transfer window. Obviously, it's not gone the right way, but overall, you can't complain with the level of quality that's come in.
Yeah, I know, but obviously, trophies are not won in transfer windows. We've seen teams in the past have great transfer windows, and then they haven't been able to replicate that on the pitch. But
Takes
yeah,
takes time, Kyle. I think ultimately you need to look at it this way. Ten Hag's walked into a mess. He's walked into a big mess. And look, I'm this early saying it. You guys, United were awful last season with Ten Hag, with a structure, with a guy who knows how to manage a team and set up a team, a proper coach. I believe Manchester United will be competing for top four just by what I've seen, and we're 4 games in. I believe Man United will be competing for the top four just by what I've
I
seen.
tell you what, Haneef, it's amazing what a couple of results can do. Because me and Carl were sat here 2 weeks ago, looking through the fixture list, wondering where 3 points are coming from.
No, I understand that, but you know what it is, Rush. You know the first 10 games of a season are really difficult because preseason has an impact. There's a World Cup in the middle of the season. We've also got a massive fixture list. You guys should be happy that you've bought this many players because there's so many games coming thick and fast. I think Europe starts next week or the week
Yeah,
after.
yeah, yeah. Next
So
week,
it's
Europa League, next Thursday.
so it's crazy the amount of games that are coming. Obviously,
Well,
I don't have no sympathy for the Premier League teams because you've got more than enough money to put two teams out. The
the
top
week, the
four,
week
top six
after,
teams
sorry.
have got.
Yeah, the week after, sorry. So
So
this week on Thursday we've got Leicester, then we've got Arsenal on Sunday, and then the following
yeah.
Thursday is Europa.
So listen, look, in my opinion, I think United have got the quality to go for the top four. Obviously, it's going to come down to injuries and who steps up, but hey, I look at the quality of the team, and no one can tell me at this moment in time that United team is not full of quality. And I believe United will be competing for the top four.
so if United were to make it into the top four, Hanif, who do you think would drop out?
I don't think Chelsea will be there. I've said it all along. I just don't think unless they buy a midfielder and a striker. If we go by what's happening now, I think Chelsea drop out. I think Arsenal drop out. I think the thing about Arsenal is they do not have squad depth, in my opinion. I'm looking at that team. If they were playing once a week and they had no Europe, if this team was playing last season, they would definitely get top four. But because they'll be playing Europa League soon, I think Arsenal will just miss out.
They are
I think
trying to
Chelsea
address
and
that though,
Arsenal.
Haneef. In terms of squad depth, they are trying to get players in.
I think everyone's going to try and get players in. I think a lot of players will be coming in. I think there will be some surprises, but I think Arsenal have got so many issues to address, and I don't know if they'll be able to buy a world class midfielder. Buying basically another Thomas Partey, but someone who can stay fit. And they need a winger. I think they let Pepe go for on loan. I think that was absolutely ridiculous. He's a decent player, and if you're not going to bring replacements in. You shouldn't be letting players like him leave. But yeah, I think Chelsea and Arsenal will miss out.
I think they were looking at Pedro Neto, so that's going to be an interesting one to watch going into the next week.
Yeah, but Brush, you know what's going to happen, right? Because it's the last, is it 3 days to go? You know what's going to happen? Neto's price is going to go up
Yeah.
55,
Yeah,
60 million now, because when you look at the average price for a player that's coming in, Alexander Isaac came to Newcastle for 60 million. So Pedro Neto, who's a Premier League
yeah, it's all crazy.
player,
I couldn't believe how
is
much you
crazy.
guys put in for Anthony Gordon. That was crazy to me.
They had to pay the money because you're
Yeah,
at ransom to that club, and also Gordon is one of their future prospects who they rank very highly. He's hardworking. I'm not gonna lie to you, he wasn't the first person in my handbook, but ultimately, if you want the player, you have to give in to the clubs, and every club knows if you're a big club from the Premier League, you're gonna have to pay a premium. That's just the
yeah,
way it
that's
is.
what it is. The Gibbs White one to Nottingham Forest. That was I raised an eyebrow at that. Potentially, the deal was worth 45 million, I believe, or around that.
They paid 45 million for Gibbs White.
I mean, with add-ons and everything, it could reach that. Yeah.
Brush, Neto is worth 60. Neto is worth 60. I don't care what anyone.
So yeah, it's a bit of a mental time.
So Davis says here, let's offload some players like Jones and another three. The problem is that Jones, Williams, and Tuanzebe are injured, just at the wrong time. But Jones always seems to get injured in the last few weeks of the transfer window, doesn't he, Brush? Very convenient.
don't think he can do that.
I've already told you before. I'm just I've resided to the fact that Phil is just here for life. I
Yeah,
just hope that he's using this time to get his coaching badges or something.
yeah, he's going to be a club
I,
ambassador as well, isn't he?
I think
Yeah,
I don't think I don't think United can afford to lose players like that because they might need to call upon him because they let go of a lot of players at the end of the
I mean,
season, the
Haneef,
likes of
we've
Mata,
called upon
Nemanja
him.
Matic,
We've
Lingard.
called upon Phil Jones twice in the last 2 years.
I'm just going to throw this out here, right? With Wesley Fofana on his way to Chelsea, do you think Leicester can might make a late bid for Harry Maguire?
I'm hoping so. I've been doing some calculations in my head, and yeah, that would be ideal for everyone because obviously it's not a good situation. I'm sure he's not happy being on the bench. He's 29. He's got the World Cup looming. He's going to want game time. He's not going to get that Old Trafford. Yeah, it makes sense
Brush,
to
he'll
me.
make that squad anyway. He'll make
I
that
mean,
squad
yeah,
anyway.
because Southgate picks his favourites, doesn't he? So form and all the rest of it goes out the window somewhat. But yeah, no. If there is a realistic chance that we could ship him back to Leicester, we should take it. I think it will be good for all parties.
Yeah, and I think Luke Shaw's place in the World Cup is probably even more jeopardy because I don't think he's the favourite that Maguire is with Southgate. So both of them could do with moves later on in the window. I don't think both of them will leave, but if we're offered a decent amount of money for Maguire or Shaw, I would snap your hand off.
Absolutely, yeah, we should definitely look into it. The Shaw one I can't see just because who else is backup? Brandon Williams. I just think it leaves us a bit light. So we're probably going to have to just see it through for another year. But yeah, Maguire, if we get the chance to sell him, we should take it.
Yeah. What has happened to Victor Lindelof? He hasn't been in the squad once this season. Is Ten Hag just left him out, or is he injured? Have you heard any news on that?
No idea. We're just going to have to wait and see. But like Haneef said, because of the Winter World Cup, there are games coming thick and fast. So at some point, we're going to see rotation. Funny enough, I think your question might be answered against Leicester City in a couple of days' time.
Yeah, I think the commentator said the weekend we've got something like 20 games between now and the start of the World Cup. So
yeah, because I can't see us using the same 11 this Thursday and then again against Arsenal on the Sunday. So there's got to be rotation, right? And I'm guessing we would want our best team against Arsenal Sunday. So yeah, I'm expecting some rotation for Leicester.
yeah, but it'd be a huge come down in quality if say Maguire comes in for Varane, and that would be very disappointing. But yeah, I think there's going to be a few surprises in the window in the last few days of it. Aubameyang could turn up at Stamford Bridge or Old Trafford. You just never know.
Hopefully at the Bridge.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about that, Honey? Would you have Aubameyang at Stamford Bridge?
Listen, I've already spoken to the hierarchy at Stamford Bridge. I said, listen, if you're gonna pay stupid money for him, I want Wilfred Zaha there as well. Go get me Zaha, man. Blood. I don't have nothing to say apart from I'm giving Tuchel till the end of next season. Get whoever he wants. Get whoever you want. But I'm telling you, it's madness. I don't understand what's going on at this moment in time at Chelsea. I just think they're in the same predicament as Man United. They've not done their business early. I'll be honest with you. I wanted Richarlison. I wanted Richarlison because of his attitude and his application. I know he doesn't score a lot of goals, but he reminds me of Diego Costa and Didier Drogba with his attitude. That's the one I wanted. Obviously, Chelsea fans were not having it, and look at the mess we're in now. We want Aubameyang. Aubameyang, listen, he's a good player. Will will he fit in that system, and can we get the best out of him? That's what I'm asking. But he's gonna be better than what we've got at the moment. The only thing is this: Sterling plays in his position, so Sterling plays on that left hand side. So either Aubameyang's gonna be up top, or he's gonna move Sterling. And Chelsea have got too many. Chelsea don't have no attack. Let's just be honest with you. Apart from Sterling, there is no attack. Kai Havertz and it's Mason Mount at the moment. It's not going well, to be fair. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll listen. We'll embrace him with open arms. We always do. Whoever comes in.
Well, yeah, Chelsea are quite similar to United in respect of there's no out and out number 9 in either squad really.
We're a mess.
If you take out
We're
Ronaldo,
basically a mess. Both clubs are a mess when it comes to transfers. It's as simple as that.
yeah,
Apart from your transfer business has been really good. Chelsea just don't have an attack.
yeah, yeah, and that's why you're tipping them to drop out of the top 4 currently. But who knows?
I just don't think we're good enough. I'm looking at the way we play football. We are going to be, if you think about it, look who we're after. We're after Fofana, another defender. We're just going to be a team that's going to be tough to beat. We're tough to beat. We're always set up like that. But I just don't see us beating. I just don't. Sorry, I don't see us creating a lot, and I don't see us scoring a lot. And the modern game is now creating and scoring a lot. If you're creating, you've always got a chance, especially when you look back a couple of seasons ago when Liverpool was suffering injuries, they still created a lot. They just couldn't finish. Whereas with Chelsea, they don't create that many opportunities. And as a result of that, the Tottenham game is a great example. And we don't take our chances. We just don't have
and
the player
currently,
for
you
it
guys are
because even
kind of just relying on something out of nothing. Like, you know, you're expecting that bit of spark
100%.
from Sterling to turn it on.
It's Sterling or Mason Mount. That's where the goals are going to come from. And then I'll be honest with you. I thought it was absolutely criminal that he put, in my opinion, one of the best right wing backs as right centre back. I'm sorry, but you don't take away one of your biggest weapons. There was enough in supply in terms of on the bench to bring a centre back on, but he just does things which, I'll be honest with you, annoy me.
Now that Fofana's
I'm
coming in, though, Haneef, I think James definitely goes back to right wing back.
I hope so. I think Cucurella's been the signing of the season, and look, I just don't think Tuchel's a world class manager. I really don't. I think he's a good manager. I think he's a cup manager, and there's nothing wrong with that. Winning trophies is fine, but if you said to me he's world class, I'm sorry, man. I've been watching the performances and I've fallen asleep many times. I'm so sorry, but he's not. Sarri was a better manager than him. I saw better football under Sarri, and this guy, right? He's living off that Champions League, and how many years he's going to live off that, I don't know, but it's going to be a long season. That's all I know.
Benitez lived off that Champions League for quite a few years, didn't he, at Liverpool? So just coming back to United, just looking down the list of signings, you know, Martinez, Casemiro, Antony, they've got a real nasty streak in them, all 3 of them, and I think we've really lacked that. You know, our successful teams in the past had really nasty players like Roy Keane and Jaap Stam and so on. You know, it's good to see that type of mentality back at United. You know, players that are intimidating, aggressive. You know, under Solskjaer, the team was too nice, wasn't it, and too happy to lose. These are really hungry players who want to win at all costs. Do you go along with that, Brush? Are you happy to see that quality come back into the team?
Absolutely. I think the closest thing we had to a bit of bite was probably Ander Herrera was the last one. So it's always nice to have that. I'm liking the mix as well of ages and experience as well as potential. So that's quite a good mix. I like that. Casemiro, we know he's certified. We know he's going to come in and what we expect from him. Martinez is a player who's got something to prove and he's taking his game onto that next level. He's at an age now as well, which is good. He's starting to mature. Anthony, still very young, same age as Sancho, I believe. So potentially, if they can get working together, that's a partnership that could potentially flourish.
Yeah, there is a real balance in terms of age there. Malacia, I think he's 22, Ericsson 30, Martinez is 24, Casemiro 30, and Anthony 22. So yeah, there's a nice mix of youth and experience there. So just moving on to the United's Europa League group. Yeah, I know it's so exciting, isn't it? So Real Sociedad.
Listen, don't hate on the Europa League. It was the best competition last year in Euro.
So I'd much rather be in Celtic's position playing Real Madrid at home in their first game.
I tell you what.
Wait till you see the scoreline. Wait till you see the scorelines. Just wait till you see the
I tell you what, Sheriff surprised Madrid last season and Inter Milan. So yeah, we shouldn't take them lightly.
Yeah, they started off very well, Sheriff, last season, but they obviously dropped off and didn't get through in the end. So yeah, Sociedad obviously the standout tie there, and then Sheriff from Moldova and Omana, I think, from Cyprus, whose man is by Neil Lennon, which I didn't know until the other day.
I had to Google them. I'll be honest, I didn't know where they played.
You'd expect United to get through that group, wouldn't you?
Yeah. On paper, we should get through. Looking at the groups as well, the only standout teams are Arsenal and Roma. We'll have to wait and see as well to see who drops down from the Champions League. But yeah, one step at a time. But in that group, you would expect us to get through. Probably a good chance as well for the youngsters to get a chance.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I want to see what some of these United youngsters look like, because there's a lot of talent there, and I want to see the likes of Zidane, Iqbal, and Savage, and is it Garnacho, and some of these guys. So, a lot of people might hate on the Europa League, but it will give these youngsters an opportunity to get a taste of European competition and see how good their talent is compared to, the likes of Sociedad, Sheriff, and Oman. I can't even pronounce the name. So,
don't worry, Haneef. I had somebody call him ammonia the other day.
I was about to say that,
Yeah, it is an opportunity to play some youngsters. I imagine Garnacho will play quite a few of these games. What's really disappointing me at the moment is that James Garner is up for sale. He's the type of player I wanted to see playing in all 6 of these games. Why on earth are United putting him up for sale? He has to be given a chance. And he's only made 7 first-team appearances. A lot of those have been substitute appearances, and these were a few seasons ago. He's been fantastic for Nottingham Forest.
But Kyle, is there any news in terms of whether he wants to go? Because I think sometimes players need to take the initiative and say, look, United is not the place for my development. It's sometimes it's best to go somewhere else. He might want to just leave for himself in terms of his own development as well. And has it been confirmed that the club want to sell him, or has the player or his agent said, look, we'd like a move because we'd like to try something new? I think that's something you need to look into, because it doesn't make any sense that the Glazers would just automatically do this. It just doesn't make any sense for me. Are they really that stupid? They could be, but I think there might be more to this than we all know.
I think the way the hierarchy are looking at it is they've struggled to sell any of the dross permanently. They're having just to loan people out. So they want to get some money back on they spent so much money in this window, so they want to make a sale or two, and they've just kind of chosen him because they can raise cash by selling him, and he's not on big wages, so I don't really see the point. And they're only going to get around 20 million at best, so I don't see how you break even by selling James Garner for 20 million.
It's crazy to me, this one, Carl, especially when you look at the potential and his age as well, and the fact that he's English. fair enough. Like Haneef said, listen, if he wants first team football, I can totally understand that. If he doesn't think he's going to get that here, but then what you do is you loan him out to a Premier
Yeah.
League team, and we see how he gets on. Yeah, like you, I don't see how this makes any kind of sense, especially for a player with his talent, with what he did last season. You'd expect him to go on loan, and maybe it turns out like Conor Gallagher's loan spell at Crystal Palace. I think 15 to 20 million is lowballing for a player like that. It would have made more
Where
sense
does
to
he
me if they.
play?
It would have made. He's a DM. It would have made more sense to me if you wanted to sell McTominay and keep Garner.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah,
If
I think the
Newcastle,
problem is McTominay signed an extension last year, didn't he?
possibly, but if
Yeah, he signed an extension last year under yeah, I think it was over the summer. Yeah, he did sign an extension. McTominay has signed an extension for Man United, 3 years or whatever it was. He
but
signed an extension,
if
so
Newcastle or West Ham want McTominay, they can have him. As far as I'm concerned, um, yeah, and bring Garner into the first team. It doesn't make sense at all. It's totally baffling. I suppose he got injured right at the wrong time at the beginning of the pre-season tour. We thought he was going to play in all those games, and
and this is the other thing, Carl. You've got Casemiro now there. Who better for a player like Garner to learn from?
yeah, yeah, because you'd say if Corner was coming in to partner with Fred in the centre of midfield, you'd say there's a lot of pressure on Corner.
Yeah,
But if he's partnering something of the class of Casemiro, it would take the pressure right off him, and he can.
and if he's understudy to Casemiro, that can only be beneficial.
Yeah, I don't get this. Will come back to haunt United if they sell
Mm.
him permanently, for such a small fee. Like if he goes to who's been linked with him most recently, Everton. If
That's one thing that I like about the fact that there is no obligation to buy in Dean Henderson's deal at Nottingham Forest, because I had a feeling that if he does well, you can charge a lot more than what was on the table this summer.
Dean Henderson has saved 2 penalties already this season, and he's saved 10 of his last 18 spot kicks. So De Gea has only saved 7 penalties and 54 spot kicks or
I
something
think
like that.
clips of the Europa League final are trending all over Twitter today.
Yeah, that's another thing that's going to have to be addressed by United in the next 12 months. I would just release De Gea at the end of the season because he doesn't fit into the profile of player that Ten Hag wants, and he's not worth those wages. So I wouldn't, extend it for the extra year. Just try and get a fee because they won't be able to sell him because no one's going to be able to
Yeah.
pay a transfer fee and those wages. So just release him, and then either they'll have to buy someone, or if Dean Henderson is so good at Forest, then they'll make him United's number one. Is that the way you see it too, Rush?
Yeah, that's exactly how I see it going. If they're competent and they get stuff in order, we'll scout and get a goalkeeper coming in. But knowing our mess, we'll probably be stuck with Henderson for a season. But it's not the end of the world. But yeah, with De Gea, yeah, this is his last season for me. And I don't see any other way of getting rid of him apart from just letting the contract run down because of those wages. He is the highest paid goalkeeper in the world.
And what I've noticed in the last 2 games is Ten Hag seemed to have instructed him just to kick it long because he's no good with his distribution. We've seen what happened against Brentford, and Ten Hag ideally he doesn't really want his goalkeeper just to be
Yeah.
hoofing it into the opposition half, but clearly that's what he's told him to do because there's
He's
no other option.
he's basically working with what he has and trying to
he's
masquerade the
limited, isn't
flaws.
he? Yeah,
Yeah, just trying to masquerade the
yeah,
flaws.
he's limited.
Yeah, it's kind of just making do with what he's got at the moment
Mm.
until he can build his own side. The best thing Ten Hag can do right now is to stack the team with his new signings, and then continue to do that, and eventually he'll end up in a situation like Klopp where the entire 11 is changed.
That's exactly it. He just has to get more of his players in slowly but surely, and ship out the old guard.
Yeah,
I think give him 3 seasons. I think you see that. I just think it's very difficult to, it's easier to do on Football Manager, but when it comes to reality, you've got so many issues to put up with in terms of contracts, players leaving, players not wanting to leave, um, and then attracting players, buying players, and then player prices going up and down. Well, up in case of
But
Manchester
on top
United.
of all of that, incompetence as well, Haneef, that plays a part as well.
Oh,
So
100%.
yeah. So
100%.
it can be better, but yeah,
I
I
think,
hear you. It's definitely going
yeah,
to take time.
no, I think the one thing that United could do this season, once this window's done, I think the one thing that the Glazers could do, or whoever, is sort that structure out. You need the good. That's why Man City have successful. It's not because of just Pep. It's the structure behind him. You need the right people in the right jobs now. Overall, we've said this transfer window is good, but the timing of the players coming in has not been that good. Now it's Fletcher and Arnold. I could be wrong with that.
It's
So you
Murto and
need to
Arnold.
address. Oh, Murto and Arnold.
Yeah.
Sorry, Murto and Arnold. Are they the right people for the job? Are there
No,
any
No,
better?
is the short answer.
Is there anyone better? I know there was. I think
I
you were
mean, there's a
guy.
whole
I
bunch
think
of people
United were
better,
linked.
Haneef. It's more the
Yeah,
case of us not going
and
for them.
and yeah, and I think the guy at Benfica a couple of years ago said no to you because I don't think he wanted to work under your ownership. I think it was a guy at Benfica. He's supposed to be like very well respected, but and I think that's what United need to do, because you do that, then a lot more issues are addressed the season after, and then United are like gonna be in a much better position than they are. Then be like, yeah, top four sorted. We're gonna be competing. And I think that's what you need. Get that structure right. If a top club does not have structure, bloody hell, God help you.
yeah. Well, they've had 9 years to sort that out, and they
Mm.
haven't. If anything, it got worse this summer. It's been a total shambles. How they've handled this window, it's descended into a farce. Being linked with Arnautovic and Rabio at one seat, and now as soon as a billionaire announces he wants to buy the club and the fans start protesting again,
Suddenly, they find money down the back of a sofa.
yeah, it's ridiculous. And then how many trips did Arnold and Murta make around Europe and come back with no one? And the Frankie De Jong pursuit,
Yeah.
what did they go on for 100 days? And they didn't get him. It was just absolutely embarrassing, wasn't
And
it?
see, this is the
Was
kind
it
of
was
thing.
it the fee? Was it the money? Was that the
It was a whole bunch of
is that
things. It was the deferred wages. It was the fact that the player himself was reluctant. It was a lot of things. But then even that, when you look at how much we're overpaying for Anthony, why didn't they push that through with Frankie De Jong if they wanted him that
yeah,
adamantly?
yeah.
Yeah, I just believe that the player didn't want to come to United,
Mm.
and simple as that. Um,
I wouldn't come if I was owed 17 million as well. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, but again, this goes down to our incompetence because from the very beginning the players showed reluctance to come. So who from our side kept persisting? They should have drawn a line under it a long time ago and moved on to other targets. But apparently we don't have shortlists. We don't have alternative targets.
I think Neves. I'm telling you, right? I watched him yesterday. I love
We
watching him.
missed the boat on Neves. We missed the
I'm
boat on
telling you,
Neves. Eddie.
Brush, Kyle. Honestly, he fits. He fits that system. For 40, 50 million. I know he might be the wrong age of 20, but oh my god, that guy is too good for Wolverhampton Wanderers, and
They'll
some of
want
his
they'll
passing
want
display
they'll want
yesterday.
70 now. They'll
he
want
scored
70
another
now.
magnificent goal earlier on as well. He's just a fantastic player. I'm a huge
I'll
Absolutely,
tell
fan.
you what, that new player
absolutely
they've got, the
quality.
Mateus Nunes looks decent. I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They've got Brush. They've got a very good scouting network. A very
And
good,
it's the
whoever their
connection.
scouts are.
It's the connection as well
And
to
they,
Jorge Mendes. It's all the
yeah.
Portuguese
yeah, that helps
connections.
as well.
That's
Yeah.
Get
Portugal
first
FC.
dibs. Yeah, they get first dibs, don't they?
Yeah, yeah. Casemiro is probably a better player than Ruben Neves, but Ruben Neves is obviously a lot younger, so I would have went for him
I think
ideally.
alongside because
Oh
he's got
yeah,
the passing range, hasn't he? So he's got the
yeah.
passing range. So
I just don't think we're
I
going to
think them
spend
two.
that kind of money on another player after we've spent like 170
Yeah,
on.
I think they're a bit too similar for me. I mean, not in their playing styles as such, but now you've got a proper DM. Now I want someone who can progress the ball and go forward and just retain possession. So yeah.
Yeah, that's something to look at in the next 12
Mm.
months. And obviously a striker as well, and possibly a right back, and
Yeah.
then we'll really start to have something. So it looked as if Manchester City are going to win the league again. I mean, Erling Haaland has scored 6 goals in August. How many is he going to get by the end of the season?
Listen,
They
that's
won.
entirely up to him.
I mean, they won the league last season without a
The-
striker. Now
yeah,
they've got the best striker in Europe.
the kid is an absolute machine. I'm sure you guys saw the highlights of the Palace game. You know, just proper poachers finishes mixed in with that goal with the where he had the strength to hold off the defender. The kid was made in the lab.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I think I told you this before when we signed CR last summer. I was like, well, there goes any hopes I had of Haaland.
Yeah, I think his father's connection with Man City and the whole Roy Keane thing. I just think he was never going to end up at Old Trafford.
I think that definitely played a part. But again, I think also you can sell players on projects if you have the right structure and things in place. And we were just an utter shambles. Because you could have made that proposal to him, especially because you could have been like, listen, you've already got Jaden here. We want to get you. The summer after, we're going to bring Jude and get the gang back together. What do you think? This is our plan. And you present him with a 5-year plan of what we're going to do.
If he wasn't going to come to the club under Solskjaer, who he has a really good relationship with, it was never going to happen. Solskjaer and.
But I mean, I can't blame the kid for going there. It's the best place for him, and he's going to tear it up.
And he is already. It's scary.
I just hope that he's not there too long, and Madrid come calling.
Okay. I'm not going to. I don't appreciate that comment, by the way. I'm not going to read that out. Okay. So, what's the predictions then? 4 games into the season. Mine is Man City will win the league. I'm going to be optimistic and say the top 4 will be City, Liverpool, Tottenham, and United. Is that how you guys see it?
Listen, 2 weeks ago I was sat here not knowing where our points are coming from, so I'm just going to take it one step at a time.
And so, Haneef, is that the way you see the top 4 going? It seems to be, given the way you were talking earlier.
I've got City winning it. I've got United finishing in the top 4 somewhere. I think Tottenham are going to be the surprise. Listen, look, they're winning games that they shouldn't be winning. And I think when you've got a coach like Antonio Conte, who I think is absolutely world class, with that Spurs team, we'll be finishing in the top 4. It'll just be interesting to see whereabouts in the top 4 they finish. And I've said, listen, look, I think they've got every chance in the world to. I think there'll be I think this is because of the World Cup and because of the amount of games. I would not be surprised if we had a different Premier League champion this year. It would not, and I don't think.
For me, Haneef, it still plays into Man City's hands because their squad depth is ridiculous, and this 5 sub rule helps them.
Yeah, but I think ultimately it comes down to if they can keep some of their core players fit. I think there's about 4 or 5. If they're fit most of the season, they'll get through. But without them 4 or 5, I think even Man City will struggle. I really do. They're going to go through a patch soon. It's just that they're just scoring for fun at the moment. And I think that's Man City's game now. They don't really have a really good defense, really. They're just footballers. They're just playing football.
But
And
mentality-wise as well, when you come back from being a couple of goals down, like it must do so much for you, So it's mentality-wise.
I don't
these
think
guys
they treat it. Yeah, I don't think they see it like a football game. I think they see it like a 5-side game. Oh, we can come back in this. We're gonna get
that's
chances.
what I mean. So I don't think they're phased by anything either.
Haaland,
Even if they go down, they're not phased.
Yeah, I think they just say, right, listen, Haaland's in the box. We've got extra firepower, and we just need to keep doing what we're doing. And yeah, it is. I understand where you're coming from. They are clearly the favorites. I just think Antonio Conte is the only one that could disrupt that. I think he's the only one.
So you think there's a chance that Tottenham could win the Premier League? It's a big statement.
That is a big statement, especially with Spurs as well. I think if they get an injury to a key man like a Kane, I don't think they can cope. Whereas with Man City, if Haaland's out, like Haaland's a luxury player for them. They've won back-to-back league titles without a proper 9.
Yeah. Listen, look, we'll see where we are in January, but I think if Tottenham are there or thereabouts, don't be surprised.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. It's going to be a mad season with the World Cup in the winter and that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Tottenham finish second, but
yeah, I've got them finishing second. I don't think they'll be that far away from Man City. I really don't.
It'll be a good gauge of the progress that Tottenham have made under Conte whenever they face Manchester City. I know they beat them last season, if I remember correctly, but if they can really put it up to City and get 3 points whenever they meet each other, then you'd have to start taking Tottenham very seriously. But I'm not sure when that game is. But yeah, United are just not even part of any title race. That's just absurd. If we got fourth, we'll be elected. Because it was not something that I was expecting at the start of the season. I just was resigned to us
I think
finishing
United will finish fourth. I think I've seen enough to basically tell me that I think United will finish fourth.
Well, it seems like you're more optimistic about United than your own team.
Listen, look, I think you've got a better coach. That's why it comes down to the coaching and how he wants to play football. And I think, obviously, the season's long. You don't know what's going to happen, but I just think his footballing philosophy is the type of footballing philosophy you need in terms of scoring goals and creating opportunities. So that's why.
Yeah, well, I hope you're right. But of course, there's there's a possibility of Chelsea and United both making top 4. But that would probably mean that Tottenham and Arsenal would have to drop out. But we'll wrap it up there. It's been a great show as always, guys, and great to have you on. And if other viewers, please subscribe to the podcast, give us a wee like on the video, and comment your thoughts down below. So we'll see you again then, guys.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
Thanks a lot, mate. Absolutely amazing.